Now, early on, we discussed about normalization and raw data, raw numbers. So keep that in your mind as we go through symbolization. So let's select state boundaries, go to appearance, and we can go to symbology, right? And instead of single symbol, we're going to use graduated colors. And our first field is going to be male. Our second field is going to be total population. What this represents is a percentage of the population associated with male. So when the census comes around and they fill it out, this is how it was filled out. The value of this is that I can compare states like California to states like Montana, right? Where they would not have a common population, right? So the population of Montana, right, the total population of Montana is just over 1 million, right? So if we look at that, and that highlight would be like a comma separation, 1,014,699. But if I select California, then the population is significantly higher because now it's 38 million, et cetera, et cetera. So it's difficult to compare the two. And so what we're looking for now is that comparison. One of the tricks to this, and this helps to convey, if you're writing notes, please be aware of this. One of the tricks to highlighting certain things or washing them out is the number of classes you have. You can use different methodologies in how you break them up. Natural breaks is by default what comes up. There are times where you might want to look at your quantiles, or even if it's like a standard deviation concept. But normally natural breaks will work. But let's take 5 and move it to 10 and see if a pattern shows up. Well, with 10, we start to see this centroid, or this grouping here in the middle, and it's kind of blended out over here on the right. We see some alliance of Alaska with this central northwest area, right? Let's check out Hawaii and Hawaii as well. So remember that based on the legend that we're looking at, these are higher population, or higher percentages of male population. Move out just a little bit. Well, what if we were to have fewer? What if we were just to have 3? What happens is we still get this upper echelon here, this upper grouping, but it doesn't fan out over here. We see a concentration of men per capita, percentage-wise, in this same area, Alaska and Hawaii, and then it kind of rings around it. So men tend to congregate in this area, they tend to congregate in the outlying states, and really you can see a decrease or a diminishing percentage of men in the Puerto Rico area. We can explore the East Coast a little further by zooming in. So then we need to ask ourselves, why is it that we see a fewer or a lesser percentage of men per capita in these areas and a higher percentage of per capita in the other areas. And that would be a research point. What cultural trends tend to drive this outcome? Hear that. When you're dealing with per capita or a normalized outcome, you're looking at cultural trends, you're looking at economic influences, things that are broad. However, there is another function that we need to consider, and that is, what if in our marketing plan we need to acquire specific numbers of customers? We need to increase them. We can start with cultural trends and move towards actual quantification. So in this particular case, if I wanted to look at the numbers, the raw numbers, because I need to sell units, I need to gain a certain number of customers or whatnot, then I'm going to remove the normalization and I'm going to look for those high values. Now, interestingly enough, we see that those areas here in the middle that were high percentage of male actually are low population values. So there's an interesting inverse relationship. So we can't necessarily target, if we need a large number of units for men, let's say it's a dating app, right? And we want to look for men. We're trying to attract men customers, right? Because you know, dating apps generally, in large percentages, there is a growing percentage that is not just the binary unit of the census, but we needed to somehow match that, again, just for basic purposes. We would have to start moving towards this area here as an ideal location where we're getting a large number of units, but it still has a favorable outcome for percentage of male and female offset. And you could flip it the other way around. So we recognize our customers are heavily male and we need to attract more females to this dating app, and this is where we start running into this. So again, this is just a very generic, very superficial type of discussion, but it mimics when to use normalization, when to use just raw numbers. Please also note, when we talked about the big four, without normalization, we end up with California, Texas, Florida, and New York. You want to be very careful if you see those four pop out, that you're interpreting your map, that you're symbolizing your map appropriately. Okay, because that typically, not always, typically signifies that we're just looking at the raw numbers. There's something off. But there are times that are the same. Now, if you have large numbers, you also have to consider significant competition. So if you're looking at your SWOT analysis and you need to move positions within SWOT, these high population areas also have a significant amount of competition. So consider that as well.